All right, let's dive into one of the most fascinating and, let's be honest, sometimes confusing ideas in all of philosophy: Buddhist rebirth. This question right here is the whole puzzle. It's fantastic because it gets straight to the point. One of the absolute core teachings in Buddhism is anattā, this idea that there's no permanent, unchanging soul or self that's fundamentally you. So, if that's true, then what in the world is getting reborn? You see the problem, right? It feels like a total contradiction. But here's the thing, and this is so important. This isn't a bug, it's a feature. This seeming contradiction isn't a flaw in the logic, it's actually the key. If we can get our heads around this puzzle, we can unlock a much deeper understanding of what this is all about: life, death, and the continuation of consciousness. And look, it's totally natural that our minds try to fill in the gaps. We start asking, okay, is rebirth just a nice metaphor for how my actions influence people after I'm gone? Or maybe there's, some kind of temporary soul that just sticks around for a bit. These are the kinds of questions that pop up, but the answers always feel a little off. They don't quite satisfy. So let's clear this up for real. Okay, first things first. To solve this, we have to get our vocabulary straight. A lot of the confusion, especially in the West, comes from one word: reincarnation. But that's not really what we're talking about here. The actual Buddhist concept is way more subtle and, honestly, way more interesting. This slide is absolutely crucial. On the one hand, you've got reincarnation. This is the idea of a fixed thing, a soul, an essence, that basically hops out of one body and into another, like a passenger changing trains. But Buddhist rebirth is totally different. The Pali word for it is punabbhava. It literally means re-becoming. See the difference? It's not about an entity moving. It's about a process continuing. There's no little passenger. There's just the journey itself. So if it's a process, then what's driving it? What's the fuel? Well, the engine of this whole cycle of rebecoming is a concept you've definitely heard of, but maybe not quite like this: karma. I love this quote from the scholar Bhikkhu Bodhi because it gets to the why of it all. For our choices to have real, ultimate meaning, there has to be a kind of moral physics to the universe, a law of cause and effect that doesn't just end when our body dies. It suggests that our actions ripple outwards in a way that truly matters. So, how does this energy actually work? Well, you can kind of break it down into 3 steps. First, you perform some intentional action. That's karma. It can be something driven by kindness or greed or wisdom. Second, that action leaves a little imprint, like planting a seed in your stream of consciousness. And third, that seed just sits there, and fueled by our ongoing desires and craving for existence, it eventually ripens when the conditions are right, and it helps generate a new life. It's a natural law, like gravity, not some cosmic judge keeping score. Okay, I know this can feel a little abstract, a little heady. How do you even picture a process continuing if no thing is being passed along? Well, thankfully, Buddhist teachings have given us some really beautiful and powerful metaphors to help us grasp it. This classic line just nails it: the being in the next life. It isn't the same as you because, hey, you're changing moment to moment even now. But it's not a totally different, unrelated person either, because there's a direct, unbroken chain of cause and effect linking you. This is such a brilliant way to think about it. Imagine you use one candle to light another. Now, is the flame on the second candle the exact same flame as the first? No, of course not. It's a new flame, consuming a new wick and new wax. But is it a completely separate, unrelated flame? Also, no. It was directly caused by the first one. The process, the fire, continues, but the substance is brand new. Or here's another one that really clicks for a lot of people: the wave. A wave can travel for miles across the ocean, right? It looks like one thing moving. But the actual water molecules, they're mostly just moving up and down. It's the energy, the pattern that moves across the water. We are like that wave. The form continues, but the stuff that makes it up is always changing. So what these metaphors, the flame, the wave, are trying to describe is this idea of a stream of consciousness. It's not a solid thing. It's a process, a continuous, moment-to-moment flow of awareness that carries those karmic seeds we talked about. Some later traditions even came up with this amazing concept of a storehouse consciousness, like a deep, subconscious river where these seeds can lie dormant for lifetime after lifetime, just waiting for the right conditions to sprout. Now, this whole journey of rebirth isn't just about hopping from one physical body to the next. It's also a journey through different states of mind, different ways of experiencing reality itself. The traditional 6 realms of rebirth don't have to be literal, separate places. You can think of them as psychological states that we all visit. That incredible feeling of bliss when you're on vacation, that's a taste of the heavenly realm. That feeling of rage and jealousy in an argument, that's the fighting demon realm. That gnawing, never satisfied craving of addiction, that's the hungry ghost. We can cycle through these in a single day. And then the Tibetan tradition adds this other incredible layer, the bardo. This is a kind of intermediate, dreamlike state between death and the next rebirth. And it's in this space that all those karmic imprints are said to bubble up as these vivid visions, guiding the stream of consciousness toward its next becoming. So, we've gone through the mechanics, the metaphors, the psychology. But what's the point? Why does any of this matter in our daily lives? Well, it all comes down to a radical reimagining of compassion. It changes how we see everyone. The Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh captured this implication in a poem that is just breathtaking. He writes about the suffering of Vietnamese refugees, and he puts himself in the shoes of the victim, saying, and then he says this, I am also the perpetrator. I am both, because the potential for both exists within me, within all of us. And that right there is the heart of it. Over countless lifetimes, in this immense cycle of rebecoming, we have played every single role in relation to every other being. We have been their mother, their child, their friend, their enemy, their helper, their tormentor. Once you really let that sink in, the lines we draw between us and them just dissolve. Which leaves us with this final, powerful, and deeply personal question. If you understand truly that in the vastness of this cosmic journey, you have been in everyone else's shoes, that their experience has at some point been yours, and yours has been theirs, what other choice is there really? How can we act with anything less than boundless compassion? It changes everything.